I'm Scotty Trapper. I played inside linebacker, varsity 93, 94 um, team for Buckeye Local with the state finals. My senior year, 94. And here we go. Well, first, when I grew up, I was, you know, a kid from the wrong side of the street and stuff like that. I was getting in trouble and stuff. And then, I found out about football and stuff. Played midget football up in Dillonville for young Buckeyes. And I was always angry, so once they put a helmet on me, then I started hitting people and, I started liking it. So then I really fell in love with it. And but for some reason, I was short, but I was fast, so I just kept playing. And then next thing you know, you fell in love with it, and then, that's all I wanted to do, was play football. Yeah, I mean, you get into, junior high and stuff like that, and then things start changing. People start looking at you differently, and, now you get talked to a little differently and stuff like that. And then like out in the community, people know your name and stuff like that. And then like I played young Buckeyes, for 10 years. And it was a good, my father about died in 86. And it was the only football game that I missed when I played for young Buckeyes. And so I didn't play my 7th grade year. And so when I went to school for junior high, I played my 8th grade year, and they couldn't wait for me to come to play for the school. So, I played the 8th grade year. I was the kicker. I was the inside linebacker. I was the running back. Actually one game we played against Lindsley, and we didn't win one game my 8th grade year. And so I kicked the football, and I ran down and made a tackle, and they thought, well, that was all cool and stuff. Then came our senior year, our freshman year, and, all of us got together for the first time, and it was, everybody just clicked, and we just kept playing. They were still consolidating all the schools and stuff like that. And then, so I went to Dillonville first for a little while, then I went down to Adena for a little while. And so I knew everybody from Dillonville, I knew everybody from like the Adena, Mount Pleasant area. Then we all had to come down to the southwest, down in Earthville, so we didn't hardly know one down here. So I remember, stuff like talk about this is like, you just know it like it was yesterday. I remember half of us was sitting on one side, the other half was sitting on the other side, and Jason Pelock said, well, if we're gonna play together, we might as well talk to each other. So me and Jason came in the middle, and then the rest of us just kept talking to each other. And then Akubat, was our coach. And but after that, once you start playing with somebody, you start sweating with somebody and stuff like that, it changes. If you don't like each other, in school and stuff like that, but you liked each other when it was football season, no matter what. All of us, we played together for a long time, and so our junior year, some of us started on defense, some of us started on defense. But when it came to our senior year, we was like, hey, we're going to be pretty good next year. We're, maybe we didn't was talking about making the playoffs or nothing. So we started our practices in 2-a-days and stuff like that. And then we're looking around, we got 16 seniors. And we're like, okay, we're still not taking it serious though. And so we start practicing and stuff like that. And then here comes the summertime, and kids are, teenagers are teenagers, and it seemed like we all got in trouble all the time. You look back, they got that movie like Friday Night Lights.
Yeah.
We were Friday Night Lights before Friday Night Lights was even in there. Then there was that movie, The Program.
Yeah.
Latimer comes out, he grabs a car, he headbutts it, started placing the table, starting defense, placing the table. Well, me and my, the other inside linebacker, Big Joe Kaminsky, bless your heart, Joe. I had to put my head through a couple car windows, Joe had to punch a couple of them out, We got in trouble for it, They came down, the cops came to our house after we went home. They took us to the, back to the fair. Hey, it wasn't us. Well, it was Jersey night. You guys were wearing your jerseys. Like I said earlier, it was a little, we were a little bit mischief, so, I mean, we could have really hurt ourselves, but we didn't.
Yeah.
But I think that's kind of, people seeing, maybe we were a little bit off, maybe we were just a little bit on the crazy side, and, but, yeah. But we all, like, stuck together. And we, so, after, we kept, I remember one thing that Coach Pobush made us do, he took us over to the wayside and underneath the bleachers. And he told us all that we had to move these bleachers to put this mat underneath of it. So we all got underneath of it on the whole bleachers. And he said, everybody lift at one time when I blow the whistle and we're gonna go forward. So he blows the whistle, we try to pick it up. And he goes, okay, we'll try again. And we did it 3 times. And he said, all right, come on, we're not gonna be able to do this. He said, what I just seen right there, he goes, I seen the whole football team trying to move a whole seating. You guys couldn't do it, but y'all tried together. And I mean, I remember that just like it was yesterday. Well, you'd go someplace and someone would, pick you, like there'd be like 4 or 5 of us, and hey, that gentleman over there's got a meal and stuff like that. Or you go into someplace, hey, the community itself, I think they, at that time, in '94, they really needed to get behind something. And everywhere you went, they were always, hey, you guys need anything? You guys need anything? Our touchdown club was unbelievable. And they would make us food all the time, make sure we had sandwiches, and we did something real special on Thursday night. We practiced at night. And then we had pizza and stuff like that. It was a great time. But the people that we had at the football games and stuff like that, I mean, for somebody like playing, it was unbelievable. I mean, standing room only, you'd make a tackle, a touchdown or something like that, and you would just, the place would be rocked. It was, and that's where you were on Friday nights. You were at the stadium, and if you weren't at the stadium, you were going to see them, because we always traveled well. So we didn't play far enough. Yeah, I did. I wanted to, and my senior year, I started taking it real serious, but I knew I wasn't, starting the other inside linebacker was 6'8", Joe Kaminsky, and, I was 5'8". We were a foot from each other. And what they would do, is they would run away from Joe, but they'd run right into me. And I led the team in tackles, but there was a reason, because they was running away from all the big guys that were running towards me. And, I thought maybe I had a shot to go, to a small school, Division II, or something like that, but I really didn't excel in school with I was more just, kind of like a jack off, didn't really take it serious, so, I really couldn't find my niche in school. But, football and stuff, and I wrestled, and I really thought maybe sports would get me into college. I was waiting for those letters to come, and, they never did. Nobody wanted a, 5'8", 200-pound inside linebacker that ran a 4.9. So, I was quick, side to side, real quick, But then I realized, hey, I'm gonna have to do something else after this. Actually, it was Coach Mike Groves. It was my 8th grade year, and I was a little, like I said, I was a little overweight and stuff like that, and I weighed 135 pounds actually. And he said, hey, Scotty, he goes, what about like wanting to wrestle? And I was like, yeah, okay. So again, you can like beat people up and like throw them around so you don't get in trouble. And I was like, oh, okay. So then, that was my first year wrestling. So then I went to, we played football freshman year. I tried out for wrestling, and I really liked it. Again, we had wrestle-offs. Halfway through, I was a freshman. I wrestled a senior, and I did a senior out. So I was on varsity as my freshman year. And so, but wrestling, I learned later on though that it teaches you high hand leg coordination and everything. Body awareness of where you're at. But definitely wrestling in with the football would be the way to go. You hear about it all the time. These football players, they wrestle too. Your feet work and everything like that, the way you move. But it's really good like wrestling. But what would have changed? I mean, you can say you would change this, you change this. I could have tried harder on this play, but I remember one play. We had we played in the state finals, and we kicked the ball to Chardon, and we had them on their 3-yard line, and their backs are in the backfield, and I'm sitting there. I'm thinking, if we could stop them here, we got it. They opened up, they did an ISO on me, and I couldn't take that first block. He knocked me on my ass, and I thought I could tackle the backfield. And after that, if I could change one play in that whole game, if I could have tackled in the backfield, that changed the whole game up there. But they were stronger, and better team prevailed. Well, if I could do it all over again, I would do it. Maybe a little bit different. What I mean by differently is, maybe try a little harder on sometimes, but you don't even know if you don't even know that you're not trying hard. And, you just try your best, and if your best is not good enough, then it's not good enough. But you gotta leave your heart out on the field. You gotta leave your heart out on the mat, and everything takes care of itself. The coaches try to give you knowledge. They try to give you skill to complete it. But you just gotta keep trying, and then everything else takes care of itself. You don't have to think no more. It just takes care of itself. All your heart's there, all your knowledge is there.